The first orbital strike hit the capital without warning. Fusion warheads turned skyscrapers into molten slag, and the atmosphere itself caught fire. Millions died in the opening seconds. The 𝙎𝙬 didn't bother with demands, didn't pause to gloat, they simply erased the colony from existence. A final transmission broke through the interference, a woman's voice choked with smoke. "They're not stopping, they're killing everyone," static swallowed the rest. By the time the Galactic Council received the news, 𝙎𝙬𝙤 was already a graveyard. The 𝙎𝙬 envoy, a sleek, scaled creature with eyes like polished obsidian, dismissed the outcry. A minor border dispute. Humanity should have known their place. The warlord responsible, 𝙎𝙬𝙤 the Hollow, made it personal. A broadcast rippled across human comms, showing the smoldering ruins of 𝙎𝙬𝙤 behind him. You are weak. Your colonies are stains. We remove stains. Humanity's governments had spent centuries fractured, divided by old-world borders and petty conflicts. That ended in a single day. Emergency channels lit up with one phrase, repeated like a mantra: total mobilization. Factories that once built civilian ships retooled in hours. Asteroid mines stripped entire belts dry. The Dyson swarm around Sol dimmed as its energy was rerouted, not to cities, not to research, but to war. The Terran War Congress convened for the first time in history. No debates, no bureaucracy. Just a single vote, unanimous. Vengeance. Not a surgical strike. Not a symbolic retaliation. The math was simple. 700,000 warships. One for every 10 lives lost on 𝙎𝙬𝙤. The 𝙎𝙬 didn't notice at first. Their spies reported scattered human activity, pathetic, disorganized. A few hundred outdated frigates at most. The galactic media sneered. What can primitives do against plasma lances and shield tech? Then the transmissions started. A single probe, unarmed, drifted into 𝙎𝙬 space. It broadcast no demands, no threats. Just a looped message, playing on every frequency. You killed a colony. A pause. We bring 700,000 warships. Deep space sensors flickered. Then screamed. The 𝙎𝙬 homeworld's defense grid lit up as one. Humanity had arrived. The forges of Mars burned day and night. Mercury's surface, once a barren wasteland, became a single sprawling shipyard, a mechanical hive vomiting steel into the void. Automated foundries consumed entire mountains, spitting out armored hulls every 17 minutes. The math was brutal, beautiful in its simplicity. One new warship every 42 seconds across all facilities. They weren't elegant. No graceful curves, no art etched into bulkheads. These were angular, ugly things, retrofitted freighters with railgun batteries bolted to their spines, mining barges stuffed with nuclear payloads, colony haulers turned into troop carriers with one directive: close distance and detonate. Crew shortages? Irrelevant. Neural uplinks turned volunteers into temporary pilots, their brains wired directly into targeting systems. They'd live just long enough to fire. 1 million souls signed the waivers in the first hour. The 𝙎𝙬 spies missed it all. Their reports spoke of disorganized salvage efforts and primitive desperation. Warlord 𝙎𝙬𝙤 scoffed at the data slates. Let them waste their resources. No amount of scrap can challenge a 𝙎𝙬 dreadnought. He didn't understand. Humanity wasn't building a fleet. They were building a tsunami. Jupiter's moons became ammunition depots. The asteroid belt vanished, consumed by hungry smelters. Earth's oceans dropped 2 centimeters, water siphoned for reactor coolant. Every resource, every gram of material, bent toward one purpose. The Galactic Council's observers finally noticed. Their warnings were polite, condescending. This escalation serves no one. The 𝙎𝙬 have offered reasonable reparations. The Terran War Congress didn't respond. They played the transmission instead, the one from 𝙎𝙬𝙤's dying seconds. The woman's voice, raw with terror. Then static. Silence. Then the order. Double production. Deep in the Kuiper Belt, a prototype engine roared to life. The scientists called it a short jump drive. The soldiers called it a slingshot to hell. It could flak a ship across interstellar distances, once. No return trip. No life support. Just a one-way ticket with a payload. They built 500,000 of them. Final checks complete. Targeting locked. The 𝙎𝙘𝙤𝙤 homeworld glowed on every screen. A single admiral, her name lost to history, gave the only command that mattered. Asterisk, load the dead man's switches. Asterisk. The drones didn't cheer. They couldn't. But across 700,000 bridges, the same phrase echoed as systems came online. Asterisk, vengeance enabled. Asterisk. The galaxy held its breath. Soul went dark. Then, all at once, the stars blinked out, swallowed by the shadow of an oncoming storm. The 𝙎𝙘𝙤 homeworld skies turned black with ships. Not warships. Not sleek destroyers or gleaming dreadnoughts. A swarm of jagged jury-rigged monstrosities, freighters with armor welded haphazardly over cargo bays, mining rigs bristling with missile pods, colony ships packed with enough explosives to crack a continent. 700,000 engines burned in unison, their combined thrust shaking the planet's atmosphere from orbit. The 𝙎𝙘𝙤 defense grid activated instantly. Pristine silver battleships rose to meet the incoming horde, plasma lances carving through the first wave. 100 human vessels died in the opening salvo. 1,000 more took their place. Warlord Vexus's laughter died in his throat when the second wave hit. These weren't warships, they were bullets. Short jump drives flared as entire squadrons teleported past the outer defenses, reappearing inside the kill zone. Hulls ruptured. Reactors overloaded. The drones didn't bother evading. They crashed into shield generators at full burn, their dying systems overloading in synchronized detonations. The third wave carried no weapons at all. Just names. Every ship in the assault bore the designation of a dead colonist. Etched, 9, Alpha, 4421, Etched, 9, Bravo, 7793, Etched, 9, Charlie, 1108, a rolling memorial of steel and fire. The 𝙎𝙘𝙤 tactical AI recoiled as its targeting systems clogged with the data storm. Too many signatures. Too many variables. Ground-to-orbit batteries fired non-stop. A human cruiser the size of a city block disintegrated, only for its debris to reveal 100 smaller drones hidden inside, each one spiraling toward the planet's surface. Vexus's flagship took a direct hit from a converted or hauler. The impact didn't breach the hull. It didn't need to. The hauler's cargo hold split open, releasing a cloud of hypersonic tungsten rods. They shredded through decks like paper, gutting the ship from within. Panic spread faster than the firestorms. 𝙎𝙘𝙤 command channels dissolved into screaming as their perfect, orderly warfare collapsed under the weight of pure, unfiltered attrition. Human ships didn't retreat. Didn't surrender. Didn't even slow down. A single transmission cut through the chaos, not from the attackers, but from the dying colony ship Etched, 9, Omega, 0001. Its bridge was already venting atmosphere, its hull glowing red from re-entry. The captain's voice was calm. Asterisk, you glassed our homes. Now choke on the dust. Asterisk. The ship's core detonated 500 meters above the capital. The shockwave shattered continents. By the time the fourth wave arrived, there was nothing left to burn. Humanity didn't stop. They never even slowed down. Silence settled over the galaxy like a shroud. The 𝙎𝙘𝙤 homeworld was gone. Not conquered. Not occupied. Reduced to a smoldering asteroid field still glowing with the heat of its own annihilation. The last transmission from their high command had been a single, fragmented plea, cut off mid-sentence as the planetary core destabilized. Humanity didn't broadcast their victory. They didn't need to. Every species with deep space sensors had witnessed it. Every empire with a military had recalculated their projections. The numbers didn't lie. 700,000 ships had gone to war. Roughly 300,000 returned. No demands followed. No territorial claims. The surviving vessels simply turned and left, their hulls still scorched from battle, their drives trailing radiation like blood from a wound. The Galactic Council convened in emergency session. Debates raged for days. Some called for sanctions. Others proposed preemptive strikes before humanity turned their madness elsewhere. The vote was interrupted when a single human envoy, unannounced, unarmed, entered the chamber. They carried no weapons. Only a data crystal. The playback showed 𝙎𝙘𝙞 last moments. The screams. The fire. The 𝙎𝙘𝙤 warlord's laughter. Then, without commentary, footage of the counterattack. The swarm of ships. The burning skies. The moment the first human vessel struck the 𝙎𝙘𝙤 capital. The envoy said nothing. When the playback ended, they placed a second crystal on the floor. Its label read simply, "Next time." The chamber was still as death when the envoy left. On the edge of former 𝙎𝙘𝙤 space, human engineers began constructing a new station. Not a military outpost. A memorial. Its alloy frame was forged from salvaged wreckage, both human and 𝙎𝙘𝙤. At its center stood a single plaque, inscribed in every known language. "We would have shared the stars." Trade routes reopened within the month. Neutral species sent delegations. Former adversaries quietly withdrew from border systems, leaving light years of empty space between themselves and human colonies. No threats were made. No treaties signed. None were needed. A child's voice, transmitted across open frequencies from a rebuilt 𝙎𝙘𝙞, summed it up best. "We're not monsters. But if you make us, we'll show you how monsters are made." The transmission ended. The stars burned cold and quiet. Humanity went back to work. The galaxy held its breath, but humanity exhaled war. The memorial station wasn't empty. Inside its hollow core, suspended in zero gravity, floated a single artifact, a blackened chunk of rubble from 𝙎𝙘𝙞 Central Square, still fused to a piece of 𝙎𝙘𝙤 hull plating. Visitors from 100 species came to see it. None touched the wreckage. None spoke above a whisper. New colonies sprouted along the dead empire's borders. Not military outposts. Not mining operations. Gardens. Vast orbital platforms where Earth's oaks and redwoods grew in artificial sunlight, their roots drinking recycled water from broken enemy warships. Human engineers called them memory forests. The galaxy called them something else. A warning written in soil and leaves. The first delegation from the 𝙎𝙚𝙤𝙤 collective arrived expecting negotiations. They brought trade agreements, cultural exchange proposals, offers of shared technology. The human diplomats listened politely. Then they showed their guests the forests. "This one's grown from soil enriched by 𝙎𝙘𝙤 reactor ash," a guide explained, patting the trunk of a sequoia that stretched 300 meters toward artificial skies. The saplings came from Earth. Took 12 generations to breed them for orbital growth. The 𝙎𝙚𝙤 asked no more questions. Deep in the asteroid belts, automated foundries slept, but didn't power down. Their reactors hummed at standby, waiting for a signal that never came. Maintenance drones polished railgun barrels that hadn't fired in years. The Terran War Congress hadn't disbanded. It had simply paused. A Nixian merchant vessel made the mistake of probing too close to a human listening post. Their sensors detected something massive lurking in the Oort cloud, something that matched no known ship class. When questioned, human authorities shrugged. Mining barge. The Nixians didn't ask twice. Children on rebuilt colonies played a new game. They called it Echo. One child stood in the center, whispering "We remember." The others answered from the dark, "And we are watching." Parents didn't stop them. Teachers incorporated it into history lessons. The Galactic Council's new defense budget included a line item for diplomatic contingencies. No one defined what that meant. Everyone understood. On the anniversary of 𝙎𝙘𝙞's fall, every human ship in the galaxy went silent for 60 seconds. No transmissions. No engine burns. Just 700,000 vessels hanging motionless in the void. When the moment passed, traffic resumed as if nothing had happened. The memorial station's logs recorded a surge in visitors that day. Most left offerings, flowers from 100 worlds, data crystals with songs of mourning, even a 𝙎𝙘𝙤 survivor's carved bone flute. The last visitor brought nothing. A human child, maybe 6 years old, pressed their palm against the wreckage floating in the chamber. Their whisper didn't register on audio sensors, but lip-reading algorithms caught the words. We won't forget. Then they left. The stars burned on. Silence became the loudest language in the galaxy. The war drums fell silent, but the galaxy never forgot their rhythm. Human freighters moved through neutral systems now without escort. None dared intercept them. Their hulls still bore the scars of battle, carbon scoring from 𝙎𝙬𝙤 plasma fire, patched breaches from orbital shrapnel. No one asked why these civilian vessels still flew armed. No one needed to. The 𝙎𝙬𝙤 ambassador broke protocol during a trade summit, demanding to know when humanity would dismantle its shipyards. The human representative, a scarred woman with neural interface ports still embedded in her temples, smiled without showing teeth. When the last orphan of 𝙎𝙬𝙤 dies of old age, she said. The summit moved on to discussing agricultural tariffs. Deep space telescopes caught something peculiar near the ruins of the 𝙎𝙬𝙤 home system. A single human dredge ship, salvaging not metals or tech, but bones. Planetary debris fields yielded their dead with glacial patience. The operation had no military value, no economic justification. Yet it continued, year after year. They built a second memorial. This one floated in the dead system's Lagrange point, a perfect sphere of blackened alloy. Inside, arranged with meticulous care, were the remains of both species, 𝙎𝙬𝙤 skeletal fragments beside human DNA vaults, enemy war banners facing photographs of 𝙎𝙬𝙤's children. The inscription read, "See what hate built." No one visited. Humanity's borders expanded, not through conquest, but through absence. Neighboring systems quietly evacuated border worlds. The space around human territory became a buffer of dead planets and silent monitoring stations. Insurance rates for shipping lanes spiked whenever a human vessel entered sensor range. An attempt was made to replicate their industrial output. The 𝙎𝙬𝙤 Collective converted 3 gas giants into shipyards, hoping to match Sol's terrifying productivity. They succeeded. Then the riot started when workers realized what they were building. The project was abandoned within months. Children in human schools learned new math. Not just equations for orbital mechanics or reactor efficiencies, but cold calculations of retaliation ratios. If they kill 10 million of us, the problems began. How many warships is proportional response? The answers were never graded. The lesson wasn't in the arithmetic. On the 20th anniversary, the Terran War Congress declassified the 𝙎𝙬𝙤 footage. Not just the attack, but the planning sessions that followed. Galaxy-wide networks carried the images of tired politicians weeping as they signed the mobilization orders, of engineers working 72-hour shifts before collapsing at their stations. The most viewed clip showed a janitor sweeping ashes from a factory floor, then picking up a welding torch to help meet quota. The next day, 7 previously hostile species requested cultural exchange programs. Human diplomats didn't smile when signing the agreements. They didn't need to. The memorial forests grew taller. The silent ships patrolled deeper. And somewhere in the dark between stars, an unregistered drive signature pulsed once, then vanished. No one asked what it was. No one dared.